Dear Google, I'm in West London and I'm very hungry. Could you please send me the location of the nearest restaurants as soon as possible? Thanks.
Where would we be without the World Wide Web, eh? Well, this week on Click, we go back to the beginning to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the world's very first website. All aboard the Techno boat as we plug into a floating maker fair. Making light work, we're at the venues stitching together these amazing images. And we'll see how in the future they might end up in your front room. All that plus the latest tech news and an amazing recreation of the first moon landing. Just one small step away and all that in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. You know, advances in digital technology come at such a clip these days that history feels like it's moving in fast forward. Can you believe it was only 20 years ago that the World Wide Web was invented? Well, to mark the anniversary, the European Organisation for Nuclear Research, CERN, is restoring the world's very first website, which was developed at its computing labs. We sent David Reed to Geneva to indulge in a spot of real digital nostalgia.
You'll have heard of CERN before. It's here that the world's top physicists have been investigating the origins of the universe, colliding particles together in their Large Hadron Collider. It's research everyone wants in on. So 20 years ago, Tim Berners-Lee and his team developed something called the World Wide Web. It's all built around the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP to you and me, which links documents and web pages. Now CERN is restoring the world's first website, the centre of the Internet's Big Bang.
The fact that he called it the World Wide Web, and he insisted on this, you know, he obviously had some of the vision of what a transformation this could be. And they had this idea that it could be transformative, but at the same time, some of the documentation says, you know, don't be disappointed when you come and see what it's like. It's just words on a screen. So there are these two ideas, both that it could be world-changing and that it's actually rather ordinary.
Ordinary also is the corridor on which CERN's computer team worked, though it does have a nice retro feel. The corridor has now become hallowed ground. No one is entirely sure anymore exactly which office was Tim Berners-Lee's, but you can safely say that somewhere along this corridor the World Wide Web was born. So much for an open internet. Tim Berners-Lee's computer is currently held in a glass case at CERN. A scribbled note on the side warns against turning it off. It was, after all, the world's first web address, info.cern.ch.
We're still at a time where you can go to Tim Berners-Lee's machine, it's called a Next computer, you can turn it on and it works. We don't actually know the password, I think Tim Berners-Lee does, but you know, that's quite unique. That's not going to be around forever. So there's an aspect to the fact that we have physical artifacts that need to be preserved and properly looked after.
The web's reach is echoed in CERN's grid, a virtual supercomputer with hardware distributed in 140 computing centres across the world. This Swiss computer centre is just having an extension built in Hungary. The grid crunches a mass of data from the proton beams smashing together in the Large Hadron Collider. This approach to managing millions of billions of bytes of data is inspiring scientists in other disciplines, such as those researching human genomes.
Science has to be open, and that's the whole point of science, is that the results that we find are open to everybody, and we apply the same thing to our technology. So the technology that we develop, and we push the frontiers in all areas, including computer science, that technology we make freely available to everybody that we work with and to the public at large.
CERN created something that all of us now use every day. And what did they do? they gave it away. Had they licensed it, well, surely they'll be able to pay for their experiments many times over.
Potentially, yes, but maybe it wouldn't have taken off in such a way had it been licensed in that manner.
That's a great lesson for some of our most precious cultural assets, is maybe we can't monetize them all, and that monetization sometimes stifles them.
We managed to catch up with Tim Berners-Lee, and he gave us an insight into what happened behind the scenes when it was finally confirmed that the World Wide Web would be for everyone to use without fee or license. It seems you can't compete with free.
Originally, I sort of proposed the web in 1989, coded it up, wrote the code in 1990, and it started to spread. And as it spread, there was another project called Gopher, which was competing. And the University of Minnesota, who owned the Gopher project, whose employees had created it, they sent around a message to people saying, by the way, it's free now, and don't panic now, but in the future, not for the browser, but if you're running a server, maybe, possibly, we will charge you just a small fee. And everybody panicked. Everybody thought, wait a moment, but I'm not working for the University of Minnesota. I'm not contributing to some University of Minnesota project if this is a proprietary thing. So they came to me and said, Tim, what's the story with the World Wide Web? And I said, well, in principle, it's free, but Robert Caillou, my buddy, was badgering the CERN management to make a commitment to say, we are not going to charge royalties. 3 years later, after 18 months of badgering, that the CERN directorate produced this memo which said, you know what, CERN is not going to charge royalties.
It's easy to lose sight of just how quickly the World Wide Web has grown and entered into all of our lives. It is a cultural artefact worthy of preservation.
David Reed on a personal pilgrimage to the birthplace of the World Wide Web. I wonder where we'll be in another 20 years' time. Okay, next up, a look at this week's tech news.
Google has used its annual developer conference to announce a music subscription service. Google Play Music All Access will launch in America for $10 a month and take on the likes of Spotify and Xbox Music. Amongst other announcements like voice search in the Chrome browser, the search giant also announced a new Google Hangouts app, which allows users to have video chats, send text messages, and swap pictures between Android and iOS devices, as well as through Chrome. Also moving cross-platform, BBM. BlackBerry says its messaging crown jewel will be made available for other smartphones this summer, with more advanced features like screen sharing and video and voice calling to follow later in the year. Some analysts are seeing BBM's port to Android and iOS as a sign the hardware maker is moving towards becoming more service-focused. But it'll face stiff competition from not just Google Hangouts, but also from established services like Skype and WhatsApp, which handles a staggering 20 billion messages a day. Amazon has launched Coins, the virtual currency it announced earlier this year. It's initially only available in the US. To kick things off, Amazon is giving away 500 coins, $5 to each owner of a Kindle Fire. For now, coins can only be used to buy games, apps, and for in-app purchases. The currency joins a range of virtual money, including Facebook credits and Microsoft points for Xbox, which, interestingly, Microsoft is this week rumoured to be killing off in favour of a gift card system. And finally, Microsoft's Bing has gone where no translator has gone before by adding Klingon to its list of languages. The fictional Star Trek Rogue can now be translated to and from any one of Bing's 41 other tongues. The project is a team-up between Bing and researchers at the Klingon Language Institute, who've been working tirelessly since the 90s to further our understanding of our furrowed-browed friends. Bayongapa!
It's easy to forget that as long as you go to the right parts of London and you spend the right amount of money, you can get some pretty decent views of the water. But I wonder how many of those who gazed upon the Thames in the last few days realised that one of the boats bobbing up and down on it was filled with hundreds of tech heads, a ton of coffee, and a super fast internet connection. How do you even get a super fast connection to a boat anyway? LJ Rich was invited aboard to find out more.
This is the captain of your ship.
A souped-up ship moors briefly in London's financial district. The MS Stubnitz is a 50-year-old converted fishing vessel from Germany.
And if you haven't guessed,
This roving venue normally hosts art exhibitions and private parties, but today the ship is providing the backdrop for Electromagnetic Wave, a volunteer-run technology fair with a twist.
People have moved into cities and people have lost their ability for tinkering. So suddenly when you give them a place where they can tinker and they can show each other things that they've made, they get very excited and suddenly it reawakens that urge and that they come out and start making things together.
For a start, that box of circuit boards is the attendee badge. On exploring the ship, those badges flash sympathetically with beacons like this one. It's using near-field communication, similar tech to some credit card contactless payment systems. As well as facilitating the treasure hunt, it's used by organisers to track which area is getting the most traffic. And here's one hotspot: workshops like this one are running throughout the ship. These people are learning the Scratch programming language from scratch. In less than an hour, they've made a small game. Back up on top deck and the festival is in full swing. Various projects abound, some including soldering irons, most including coffee.
But no hack day is going to work unless there's a decent internet connection. Luckily, they've got that sorted.
And it's no mean feat. This receiver's pointed at one of the windows in a building across the river. That's transmitting 300 megabits per second as long as the antenna is in line of sight. The cables actually slow down the speed to just under 100 megabits per second. The connection goes through those big green prototype boxes under the laptops. All very cutting edge, and for people who tend to connect online, it's a rare opportunity for a real-world get-together, some delegates having flown in especially for this event.
I'm hoping that this is just the start of events like this in Britain. I mean, these are common in Germany and they're common in America, but only in the last 10 years.
And tech festivals like this are gaining in popularity, though not all are on ships like this one. Nautical, but nice.
LJ Rich. Now, modern smartphones have introduced us all to the panorama. The idea of taking several photos of a beautiful skyline and then stitching them all together. The result is a beautifully wide and much more immersive shot of the skyline. Now, imagine you can do that with projectors. Well, this summer, light projection is being used in some seriously slick ways, and as long as you stitch the pictures together reasonably well, it can create a really immersive experience. From outdoor festivals to planetariums to your own front room. Welcome to ARC, a festival dedicated to light projection and where the main event is not the music. Forget stages, it's domes that reign here. And the DJs inside, well, they're programmers too. So what's all the fuss about? A near-perfect 360-degree live projected light show. An eye-popping place where music meets visuals, programming meets performance. Behind the lights, 6 perfectly aligned projectors, each cast a part of one big image onto the concave ceiling. Each portion is adjusted with millimetre precision by a calibration process carried out the day before. It's one vast digital sky. The patterns dance in time to the beat, their colours and intensity mirroring the mood of the music. At the helm, these guys, known as RFID, use their own specially developed software to control various elements like speed, colour, size of the visuals, and even what kind of things to project. It allows them to program on the fly, so they can design on impulse and go with the flow of the room. And by manipulating existing 3D animation software, they can also create high-resolution video files, which are then mixed together and displayed in the dome. But is this all really necessary? What's wrong with a good old thumping tube?
If you want to get into this nice, real dialogue between you and the audience, and there's always a dialogue when you're on stage, then you should be able to adapt and control just to set the right mood in combination with those people. And that goes for both visuals and for audio.
And now the immersive nature of the dome is spreading out onto the main stage, applying the same curve theory to a much wider and mainstream audience, which, if taken up by big headline acts, could be big business for RFID.
With this, we've had a few investors that have been interested enough in what we do to put some money in, but even still, we're still flying by the seat of our pants. Like, you know, it is what it is.
And money is one of the greatest problems for small startups like this. However, the big boys now also want a piece of the projection pie, and they have many more resources to help them take immersive tech global. Welcome to Microsoft's Illumiroom, a proof of concept that uses the Kinect gaming sensor to scan the layout of the room, and then a projector to give a games player a much wider point of view than just their TV. Even the furniture comes to life. It's a more immersive form of gameplay, where the landscape wraps around the player, something which is, of course, especially good for first-person shooters. Rumours are that aspects of this tech may be introduced into the next version of the Xbox, something we'll hear more about when it's unveiled next week.
If you have a console or an entertainment system that says you can get more out of this if you buy this additional box of lights that you can plug in around your house, you can use them normally, but then when it comes to game time, they do so much more for you, then you find that most people probably would go, well, actually, hang on, that sounds like a cool experience, I'm going to go and buy that. And so then that all adds to the bottom line of the company.
But Microsoft isn't the only corporation testing out tech that could change the face of the living room. Since 2006, the BBC's R&D team have been working towards a concept called surround video, which aims to enhance the experience of watching movies on your television. The projection, again, surrounds the main monitor in the room, but this time it's reflected off of a hemispheric or curved security mirror, a bit like the ones you find in shops. The image is contorted using specially designed software first, so that when it's bounced off the mirror, it stretches back out to cover the wall evenly. The video footage you see on both your TV and on the wall is captured using two separate cameras positioned tightly together in the production process. A fisheye lensed camera films the video seen on the walls, whilst a standard camera deals with the TV.
When you're directing for TV or film, you're only thinking about that center image. You don't think about everything. Were you to shoot live action, there would be an issue of where does the mic go, where is the crew hiding, because you're seeing so much more of the image than you would normally see.
And it's that added video that can change perception and enhance the way we experience and engulf ourselves in art and entertainment. But until we can comfortably sit back, relax and enjoy the projected show, well, we'll have to make do with our bog standard boxes and the bog standard content which runs through them, like this programme. Now, last year, 68% of all email was spam. And that's not only annoying, it's also pretty dangerous, because plenty of people unfortunately do get taken in by marketing claims and phishing attacks. Well, our first Webscape pick this week should help you to find out exactly what's coming into your inbox. Over to Kate Russell.
Gmail was the leading online email provider of 2012 with over 425 million users worldwide. If you're one of them, you can get the inside scoop about what's coming into your inbox with Smarter Inbox from Zobni, a browser plugin that looks at your email and social contacts to build a profile for everyone in your address book. The simple search feature is a really quick way to find contacts, and it's all accessed inside your Gmail inbox. As well as flagging up recent contacts and those you email the most, you can use the social tabs to see their latest Facebook status updates and tweets, even if you're not following them on Twitter. In this hyper-connected world, it can be hard to remember who you're talking to about what, and this free plugin solves that problem in an instant with access to all the personal and social details you need to handle the correspondence correctly. It's also available for Android, iPhone and Outlook.
Good God, so lazy I almost stopped.
It's crowd everything these days online, and Truecaller is no exception, with a crowdsourced global phone directory app and online white pages that lets you look up unknown phone numbers and match them with names, as well as revealing when spam callers are trying to get through. The call filter feature, which lets you block certain numbers from making a call to your handset, will be a real bonus if your number has found its way onto a spammers list somehow and you're being plagued by random calls at all times of day or night. That said, the ethics of handing over your entire phone book to a service like this is a topic of some debate online at the moment. You don't have to upload your contacts to use the basic features, and to be fair, you should check with anyone before making what is private public. They do make unlisting a number very easy on the site too. It's free to find out who's calling you by tapping in a number, but the company charge if you want to look up someone's details using their name. You will only find them this way if they're in your wider social network and they approve your request.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Do you remember the first moon landing? Me neither. I was only just 1 year old. But at wechoosethemoon.org, I've relived it as if Apollo 11 launched, about 10 seconds ago.
Downrange 1 mile, altitude 3.
This site uses Flash, which is fast becoming an obsolete technology, but built to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission. It certainly lives up to the rigours of web content delivery today and is well worth a visit. This interactive recreation of the famous mission meshes together video, audio and photos, pausing at key stages so you can explore in more detail. It's the closest you're likely to get to space travel if you don't actually work for NASA.
2, 1, liftoff.
Gender equality is always a hot topic in tech circles, and a new web app doing the rounds this week aims to expose the balance of male-female content being shared on Twitter. It measures the Twitter equality quotient, or TweQ, of any account by rifling through its retweets to calculate the gender split. But it wouldn't be nothing. It's an interesting exercise, but I wouldn't judge people too harshly on the basis of this quirky app, as it only extracts the last 100 tweets, and if only 10 of those are retweets, that's all that's being analysed. I also don't think people generally check the sex of a poster before sharing their tweets. That is, of course, assuming everyone on the internet has been honest about their gender.
But it would be nothing, not one little thing without a woman or a girl.
And Windows Phone 8 owners in the UK can now watch Click on the move, as the BBC iPlayer app was released for their handsets this week.
Thank you, Kate. That's Kate Russell's Webscape, and you'll find those links and everything else from this week's programme at our website, bbc.co.uk/click. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can. We're on the email, click@bbc.co.uk, and on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+ too. That's it for now, though, so thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.